it's a bit slow. So the electronic questionnaire system will be responsible for all of that in the future. We won't need to. So all we'll need to do in the future is create a frame, and we're still keeping the sampling function, so we'll create a frame and a sample, and that'll be passed into the electronic collection system, and they will manage all of that. So they will still manage respondent burden, but they'll manage it in their system. So it's just it's a job that has been taken from us, which is good because it's slightly less for us to build. But when people say, hey, that's the enterprise architecture guys, they look at the bigger picture. But there is still a need then to flow things back to the register, obviously because we get feedback from those surveys, such as I'm not classified in this industry anymore. So if they don't tell us that, then obviously we don't change the register, and they keep sending out the electronic questionnaires to the wrong people. So there's still going to be a need for some of this process at the end, which is, again, one of the devil in the detail. There's loads of devil in the detail here, so we will have to have some feedback flow, but we're not responsible for the management of it, essentially. It's just a cleaner view of what a register function is. Register function is get a list of businesses, create a statistical unit, create a frame, and then maybe sample. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Netherlands, Irene.
Yes, thank you. Well, if you want to take an advice, Andrew, I would say never waste a good crisis, and otherwise you make one. From experience, we know that we had 2 major reorganizations in our company, and the first one, actually, the Statistical Business Register needed to establish its backbone role, so coming from way back to way front up in our importance of giving coordinated populations. The second reorganization even had to do with how all the other statistical producers work together, because it's not only the business register against the users of the business register, but you are all together in one system. So you might want to challenge them as well on how they cooperate among each others. The last update we did was introducing the sectoral code in our business register. And when it came to the development of the system, we used also the Scrum and Agile approach, but that was for the system. When it came to introducing the new frame, we waited until the new frame was completely established. And then we negotiated with the users of the frame what would be the best time to introduce this new frame. And then it is not about technique, then it's about selling a change, which is going to happen anyway, so it's never going to be the same, maybe even not remotely close to being the same, but it's going to be better. And the most important thing we learned was to take them along with us in showing what the differences would be, what they have now and what they would get. So take them on the content. And for the rest, it's like removing a plaster, just snap, flash,
Good.
short.
I like that.
Hurts a little, but
Brilliant.
then you're done.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's good. Thank you.
Rico.
If I understand correctly also, then there are too much roles in your present system at this moment fulfilled by the business register. What we did for years and years is we split all kind of systems. So we try to decouple the systems, also by introducing this layer approach also. So this is maybe also a lesson for the future. This is not putting too much functionalities into one system. Yeah. For example, we also used to have a sampling technique in our office, but we put that now in our data collection office. So we try to de-link complex systems.
Yeah, good. I think that's a very thank you. That's a very important point, which I've sort of forgotten since I've been working on this for a little while now. When we originally started out on this, the director of IT at the time, said that it was very important to try and break down this huge monolithic IDBR into chunks for the future, because, he didn't want to be in a position again where he had to find the money to replace this whole thing. So I think that is part of the thinking here. By breaking it up like that, you end up with something which is easier to update in the future. Yeah, good.
Thank you. Another question? Okay, thank you. Andrew? Now we are moving to the next presentation, the second one of Indonesia. Maybe we can put in the... This presentation will present the results of a research they carry out with the purpose of increasing the response rate for the service performed by the Indonesian Statistical Office, and the research is based on the knowledge of the informants which can be obtained from the SBR. Okay, or no? I don't know. Yeah, it's okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's me again, sorry. Okay. So, recently, about 1 year ago, the executive of the PPS formed a team for the business process engineering, and the concentration of the business process engineering is the reducing the respondent refusing, the non-response rate, especially in the business-based survey, because year to year we have decreasing response rate. So the executive wants us to think as wild as possible. So yeah, this is one of the proposal for the increasing the response rate in business-based survey in Indonesia, and the part of this framework has been discussed to be implemented in BPS. So this is the Statistical Business Register as the engine of the Knowledge Engine Respondent Engagement Management System framework. So in 2016, of 123 surveys or activities, we had 38 had less than 18% of the response rate. And also the response rate for the annual survey of oil refinery company was only 29%. So the idea is to translate the CRM framework, Customer Relationship Framework, Management Framework, to the framework for the respondent. So this is the original framework from Ross-Dawson 2010. This consists of 4 pillars. The first pillar is the objective. The objective is the increased profitability in the enterprise, and then the indicators are the customer acquisition, customer retention, customer value migration, and cross-selling. And also for the customer communication pillar, they have relevant offers, customized offers, customer lifecycle offers, and high-value information. And they also segment their customer with demographic profiling, behavior profiling, implicit profiling, cost to serve, transactional profiling, self-profiling, and customer lifetime value. And also they have the enablers such as clear responsibility for the customer relationship management, consistent data acquisition, integrated system, effective processes, and also supporting culture and behaviors. We translate this framework to be like this one for the respondent management. In this framework, we still have 4 pillars: the objective, respondent communication, segmentation, and enabler. The objective of this framework is translated to the increased response rate with 3 indicators. The first one is the respondent acquisition. That means when a new respondent agree to respond successfully in our survey. And then respondent retention, which means when an ever responding respondent in the past cycle in the same survey agree to respond again in the next enumeration cycle. And thirdly is the cross-selling enumeration, which means when the respondent who has responded to a particular type of enumeration in business-based survey agree to participate again in other types of enumeration in the business-based survey. And then in the respondent communication, we have 4 elements. The first element is the relevant offers, which means the approach to interacting with respondent, the interaction to obtain the data from them, and also the interaction to give them the statistical products and also other interaction must be relevant with their profiles or segment. And then we have customized offers, which means the respondent can choose the approach with which BPS will interact with them. And then thirdly, respondent life cycle offers. BPS can interact with the respondent based on their life cycle status and also high value information that the respondent are given high value information, for example, the interesting statistic produced by BPS or next agenda about the survey, so they will be aware of the survey. In the segmentation, we have 2 elements, demographic profiling or the segment, and also ways of profiling. The ways of profiling, we have the telephone profiling, ground check profiling, and also mass media profiling. We have done the telephone and also the internet browsing profiling. And the 4 segment, we can segment them based on their ISIC, based on the beginner or have been involved in survey for many time, and can be segmented based on the scale of the business and etc. In the enabler, we have the clear responsibility for data provider management, which means for data provider management, they have to have some clear responsibilities that includes but not limited to the areas under which they should operate the outputs and also organization structure. And then we also have consistent data acquisition. The data, especially about respondents, are collected consistently to update the respondents' profiles and segment, also to do some decisions pertaining to the respondent engagement. The third one is the integrated system. It contains the system of the corporate statistical infrastructures in BPS. And then effective processes, it includes the SOP, standard operating procedure, and also the GSBPM, and also the quality assurance framework. And then supporting culture behaviors is based on the behaviors that must be exist in BPS. For example, the ethical codes to keep the credential data. And then we also need the legal support. For example, some legal supports are required to make sure that there are data streams for the administrative source to the BPS, and also other legal pertaining to the obligation for the business to respond to the enumeration and also the enforcement of the law. We also have this continuous research that some decision and relationship between profiles or segment and relevant offers must be updated with the continuous research over time. So, what are the roles of SBR in the proposed CRAMS framework? This is mentioned in our enterprise architecture in BPS transformation program, that we will have a respondent database and also statistical business register. The statistical business register is mentioned in our SBR document, detailed design documents, that it will rotate from the survey feedback, from the output data warehouse, from the survey result, and also from SBR quality improvement survey. That is a survey to update the business that have not yet been updated with other kind of methods, and then profiling program. Also, in a respondent database, we will have profiling program as the input for the database. We have some possible scenarios. Scenarios 1, follow. First, when the enablers can work properly, for example, the legal framework that makes sure the data stream from the administrative source can work properly, we can get the data from SBR about the respondent. And then from that, we will do segmentation. For this scenario, we will make a segment based on the statistical unit. It can be done the profiling in SBR profiling, for example, by internet profiling. And the segment is the statistical unit. And after that, we will do the communication with respondent based on the statistical unit. For this scenario, we can choose the right reporting unit based on the statistical unit. Currently, in BPS business-based survey, the reporting unit is the establishment, and we have some difficulties on getting the data about financial. Actually, in the IRIS, International Recommendation for Industrial Statistics, it is mentioned that the right reporting unit for the financial data should be the enterprise, and for the production, it will be better for establishment. And for that, hopefully we can get the objective of this framework, that is to increase the response rate. Scenario 2, we will get the data from the SBR, and then we'll go to the segmentation. We can make a segmentation based on the burden level with some ways on profiling, and the segment is the burden level. So we will, in the relevant offers, we will do sampling. So sorry, it's the old presentation. It should be do sampling with burden control. Actually, there is a research by Gugemas and Sautori 2012 about do sampling with regarding the burden. So when business have been surveyed many times, they should have decreased probability to be chosen again. That way, we will have a good response rate. Scenario 3, we will get the data from the SBR, and from that we will do the segmentation based on the lifetime value. For example, some business will have higher lifetime value for business that is included in the longitudinal survey, or business that is very significant to the economy, so that the data will be very valuable. They will have a higher lifetime value. And then we will do respondent communication with sending enumerator with a higher position and having a certain level of education for valuable respondent. Actually, this is based on the FGD that we have done not so long ago, and the business, the very significant business, told us that they want a higher position enumeration to be sent to them so that they will get more respect. And then, hopefully, with that, we will get a good response rate. And scenario 4, we will get the data from the SBR. We will do some segmentation based on institutional sector. And then we will combine to respondent by choosing mail survey over a web survey for NPs. Actually, it is based on a research from Lin and Rizin 2011 that non-profit respondent, they will have higher response rate when we use mail survey over the web survey. and hopefully we will get a better response rate. The scenario 5, we will get the data from the SBR, and then we will do some segmentation based on respondent life cycle phase, because we will flag the business that have been surveyed. We will know which business that actually are the newcomers or the beginner for that particular survey. So we can, for the first timer, we can give them a kit or containing brochure about BPS and send them enumerator who are better on communication. In the case of KW, we can give a quick tutorial. Actually, this is also based on our root cause analysis that why respondents don't respond. The reason are that they don't know how to respond in the survey, or they don't know much about the BPS. Hopefully, we'll get a better good response. And scenario 6, we will get the data from the SBR. From that, we will do segmentation with some ways of profiling. And the segment is the respondent industrial sector. And in the communicating with respondent, we will give them information about in which position they are relatively in the market, or how good is the industrial market climate. Actually, this is based on a research from SUNY. And hopefully, we will get a better response rate. So the conclusion is that a framework that was adapted from knowledge-based CRM framework is proposed to increase the response rate for business-based survey in BPS. And the engine of this framework is the knowledge, which mainly sources from SBR. And as for the example for the use of the SBR data, we can do segmentation based on statistical unit, burden level, lifetime value, institutional sector, respondent phase, and industrial sector. And currently, in BPS, we are discussing about the segmentation about the difficult EC area to be based on the sampling of the business-based survey. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Question? No.
Denmark?
I have decided not to ask this time, but okay. I have a question, because you started with that you have 29% response rate in the oil sector, or some kind of that. Is it so the biggest companies that are responding, or is it the small companies that are responding or not responding? And so I also was thinking about when you have the scenario 5, I think it was, but how many companies are a part of a survey? Are your survey too big because you only have this response rate on 29-30%? So you need to ask 5,000 units instead of 1,500, or how many you will ask. In Denmark, we have some rules about how many times they must be a part of a survey in a year. If they have less than 10 employees, it can be a part of three statistics, and between 10 and 19 employees, so they could be a part of 6, and 20 to 49, it could be a part of 9 statistics. And if you have more than 50 employees, you will be chosen when you should be chosen. So they are very often a part of statistics. Mm. We have also tried to give companies information about something we think must be interesting for them. And I must say, we have not get any success with that, because it should be so close to the companies. They should recognize themselves very, very closely. So it's only something about value added for some companies in the same size, same area, and same activity. So maybe it's interesting but So we are also so close, so it can be difficult to give them figures for that, if it should be interesting. So if you find a way, I will look forward to hear about it.
Thank you. I will respond on that. In BPS, we actually do sampling for the small businesses, and for the large one, we census. But we got refusal for some companies for both criteria, broad scale. Yeah, and the second one, sorry.
How big is your survey?
Yeah,
I think the size of your survey.
the size of our business-based survey. The number. Oh, we don't know the exact number of the business, but for the formal sector, we have now in SPR 2.4 million.
Yes, but how many do you ask for special statistics? You have one statistic, you ask them about the annual account, and how many companies of this 2.5 million are you asking to get figures? Do you not take the total? Do you take all 2.5 million and ask? No. And so how many?
Yeah, for the large business, we census them all. For the small business, we just do sampling. But for the number, I can tell you the exact number. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Another question? Hugo?
I have a question. From your point of view in Indonesia, which is the more complicated segment to increasing the response rate and why? For which segment is the...
To be implemented?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just, recently, we are discussing about using the segment of the difficult and easy area, because recently we also have some news from our friends in branches office that they can visit or revisit the establishment in very difficult area because of the budget. The budget is the same with the easy area. So for the difficult area, we have non-response. And then for next time, we will do sampling based on the by regarding the difficult and easy area. Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the questions.
Another question? Rico?
The way I understand, you have the different kind of segmentations of the population, and you also use different kinds modes of data collection. I was wondering, how do you correct this in your final results?
Do you mean we all?
Yeah, you introduce some kind of selectivity in your samples. So you are oversampling and you are undersampling,
No.
but you also use different modes of data collection. So in different modes of data collection, it is known that people react differently.
Yeah.
So are there any possibilities to correct for?
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, we also do the segmentation for the modes for the enumeration, but not for business-based survey, but for the population census in 2020. We will use different mode of collection. For the difficult area, we will use the paper, but in a more easy area, we will use the KP. KP, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Another question? Okay. Thank you, Ana Friana, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. So, like a resume, we can say that in this session, that the innovation show in this session is related with three issues. I can. The first one, the use of the information technologies. Two, in the second one, share with the information with another institutions. And the third one, considering the opinion of the users and the respondents. Thank you for Barry, Nefriana, and Andrew for these excellent presentations, and thank you too for the questions. Gracias. And now, Claude, for instructions or information.
Okay. So after all that, we will go up to the main building of our office for the group photo and the first keynote speech and the presentation of the new Eurostat manual. As I did say this morning, there are two ways to climb up. You walk or you take the bus. In between, there is a third way, third possibility. I can give a lift to 8 lazy people. I would propose we in the lobby, we meet in the lobby, we make there two groups, and the smaller lazy group, and then we move together to the office. Okay.
Claude, we come back here.
Yeah. I think you can leave the paper. Yes. Your laptops. Up to you.